Good to go. Okay. We're going to call the January 14th, 2025 agenda meeting to order. We'll take a quick roll call. We have Councilmember Brennan. We have Councilmember McPartlin. We have Councilmember Moskowitz, Councilmember Della Rada, some members of the public, and we have Josh Panisha. We have our Deputy Town Supervisor, Joe Drescher, Matt Yetto, Ray Smith, Laura Robertson, Diane Percy, Jean Fody, Courtney McGavero, Kara Parks, and Janet Wynn. I remembered them all. All right. So we're going to start with Public Works, which I know you love me calling it Public Works, so I'm just going to highlight that.
All right, so the first resolution is a tentative resolution to appoint a maintenance worker. I have a couple additional applicants, which we're going to interview and hopefully get some good feedback.
All right.
If I do have a good feeling on one of them, and we have multiple positions open, I'll make a recommendation to the board. So
That's great.
keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully, maybe because a lot of construction companies are shutting down for the winter, we might get some good luck picking up people. The next is a resolution to authorize purchase of pump station parts for repair of our Gorman Rupp pump stations. It's a resolution that we do every year. It gives us authority up to $19,999 to purchase parts for our larger pump stations in our sewage collection system. It's the kind of thing that if we do an evaluation of a pump and we need to buy parts, we can't wait a month for approval for it because it's something that has to go back into service immediately. So this gives us a little bit of flexibility to order parts as needed. The next one is the resolution to approve the fall 2024 residential commercial utility reconciliation. Christine has gone through the numbers. We're analyzing those, and we should be ready to go for the board meeting. The next one is similar. It's the third quarter corporate for 2024 utility billing reconciliation. Same thing. The numbers are mostly complete. I just want to check them once more, and then we should be ready for the board meeting. If not, we'll pull the resolution until we're completely happy. Number 5 is a resolution to authorize an MOU between the town and Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory. We have to do a mercury minimization plan at the wastewater treatment plant, and we have to tell the state how we're going to minimize mercury in our wastewater. It's everything from public education on how to throw away fluorescent bulbs to trying to get your industrial sources that come into your sanitary sewer to test for mercury. So Capital is voluntarily going to add testing of mercury into their, I think it's quarterly, they're going to be doing it, and then provide the information to the town at no cost. But because it's Capital and it's the federal government, there has to be a memorandum of understanding just to make everything, add more red tape and make everything official. So that's all this is. There's no cost to the town. It's just setting certain names and certain types of testing that they're going to provide for us. The next one is a ceremonial resolution to recognize Kathy Persons. Kathy's worked for the town for many, many years. She's a crucial part of the water and sewer and engineering office. I'm going to miss her when she does retire. I'm still not fully, I can't believe, and I don't believe that she's going to really leave, but she says she is. So I'd like to do something to recognize and thank her for all of her time and service to the town. And that's all I have. Any questions? Good?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you.
This is great. Thanks, Matt.
No introduction needed. I got it.
I was talking about my dry throat over here, the coughing. Hi, Ray.
Don't worry. Number seven's a resolution to hire 2 maintenance workers in the Parks Department. So we had 3 positions open. We have 2 applications, which I had given to the comptroller's office to review and move along to Elena. So hopefully we'll get a couple of these positions filled, get through the winter months, get them familiar with the town and the areas in which they'll be working. So it gives us a little break in time before our real busy season. So
How many do you have open? Is it just 2?
we
open
had
or-
3. I
Okay.
just tentatively filling 2.
Okay.
So I still have 1 left. Number 8, several resolutions awarding contracts for equipment purchases in both highway and parks. So as I had discussions with the supervisor and Bill, our objective was to, because we get these quotes, what we submit to you guys for the pricing on the equipment and stuff is back from like July, August for our budget time. So we wanted to try to lock them contracts in for the pricing that we got. Kenny actually went above and beyond and found us some greater savings through some alternate contracts and purchasing agents. And we were actually, just for one of them, the vac truck, we found one that was built. It's brand new. It actually exceeds what we would have built. It has some extra options on it. I spoke to this in my meeting, but we got a $11,426 savings from what we had asked for, and that item actually would have had a greater percentage upon us ordering it. So we saved like $3,000 or $4,000 on our hydro seeder just by looking at other contracts that are available to us. So trying to save what we can where we can.
It's great. Tell Kenny we say thank you.
Any questions?
No.
But I would like to thank you all, as always, from myself and from my staff for giving us the things we need to do what's asked of us. So we really appreciate it, as always.
Well, we appreciate that you take it seriously and get the best deals that you can. Just a
Thank
few
you for putting
examples.
us in good shape.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mr. Ray Smith of the Highway Department.
He's here all week.
Hi. Just a resolution hiring senior exercise instructors and rec leaders. This is the same resolution that we do every year.
That was a quick one.
Good job, Judy.
Okay, so the next resolution we have is the resolution potentially adopting regulations on the short-term rentals in our Niskuna zoning code. We've had so just to set the stage for everyone who's listening, right now there are no regulations on short-term rentals in the town of Niskuna, which is why we have several that are problematic. There's no regulation on them. There's just a code that says it's one single-family home on one single-family lot, and there's no term limit on if you can rent it for a day, a month, a year, 10 years, 100 years. So what we're trying to do with the code that we've been working on is basically target short-term rentals, less than 30 days. It does not impact anybody renting their house to long-term renters, who we have many wonderful, wonderful long-term renters that live in our community. We're really looking at the 30 days. We have looked over time at the goals for why we are trying to regulate the short-term rentals in all of our studying of the codes of the other towns and in our conversations with some of the greater planning authorities in our town. The why is very important in when you're crafting your code. And basically the kind of goals that we had when we were looking at adopting a code so that we can regulate the short-term rentals are to protect the traditional neighborhoods and encourage long-term living in residential neighborhoods, reduce the impacts to adjacent properties, including impacts from noise, cars, increase use, safety, increase garbage, etc. And then we wanted to address the effects to affordability of housing for both ownership and long-term renting. And we also wanted to look at just trying to make a space in neighborhoods where you're not seeing regular parties or events. Those are like the 4 goals that we're all tackling. And I think we can all agree that we're all trying to tackle those goals. We look at them from different angles. And so the code gets adjusted when we look at things from different angles. But I think when we hear the public say that, you know, these things are not working for us next door, we do understand that. That is why we're working on this code. Planning board started looking at it in April. Planning board came up with a recommendation to the town board. Among other things that haven't been changed is, you know, that we would license them so that they're getting inspections, that we would, you know, limit the number of bedrooms based on how many bedrooms are in the house. So, you know, you can't have like 10 people in one bedroom. You can only have 2. And so if your house only has 3 bedrooms, you can only have, you know, 4 people in your house, or, you know, just real easy, quick things to make a lot of those issues manageable. One of the big things that the planning board focused on was hosted versus unhosted rentals. Hosted are what we basically determined to be commercial use of a single family home, in that they often just purchase the home and then it's rented regularly throughout the year. They never live in the neighborhood. You heard things like transient. You know, there are occasions where people will just leave their house for a week or 2 when they go on vacation, but that isn't the typical thing that you're seeing now for unhosted rentals. Are typically now really a regular type of turnover in a neighborhood, and the person never lives there. The hosted rentals require the person to live there. I have not seen it. Clark told me about it online. I guess there's a commercial right now because Verbo is attacking Airbnb, and it's making the hosted rentals look like the less desirable option. But in Niskayuna, you know, we think that that might be a really good way to solve the issue, because if there's a regular person, a regular neighbor who is a partaker of the neighborhood, they know their neighbors, they live there. It's not often that when you want to rent a house for a party, it's a hosted rental. That's just a deterrent kind of immediately. And then you do still have that regular neighborhood presence, someone that you could talk to, someone that's still mowing their lawn. But if they're having trouble making their rent or something, they would be allowed to still like rent their bedroom. So the planning board's compromise was only put the hosted rentals in commercial areas, and then unhosted rentals, sorry, I said that backwards. Thanks, John. Only put the unhosted rentals in commercial areas because they were determined to be kind of a commercial use, and those are the ones where no one's living there. And then the hosted ones could basically be allowed everywhere, and that would allow people the option, if they needed to, find ways to meet their ends meet. The original intent of short-term rentals like Airbnb was to put an air mattress in your house and rent it out so that you can make your rent. So like, we're trying not to take that away from people, but not allow the sort of commercial use of the neighborhood come through. I know that there's differing opinions on the board, and we held this public hearing to kind of see where people were landing. I'm always in favor of public hearings. We were looking at 2 different codes. So the confusing part that we have now is that we had a public hearing in January on the hosted and unhosted code. Now we've had a public hearing today about basically removing the unhosted and hosted part, and just trying Airbnb out, regulations, the licensing and the noise and all that kind of thing. I think based on the discussions at our Economic Development Committee meeting, John and myself would like to bring the resolution at the end of the month to go with the unhosted versus hosted. If that is enacted at the end of the month, we'll try it out, see how it works. If it doesn't pass the board, we can go back and then rework some of the language to make sure that everybody's happy with it. That's kind of where we landed. It's been a long process, and it's a little confusing because we had 2 public hearings, but I'm here to help. Did anybody want to discuss any more on that? My long-winded answer.
Right. I'm glad you made that point, that we've had 2 public hearings on 2 different basically codes, two different ways to handle this situation. And then we heard from residents this evening that are asking about having a referendum. Well, that's just going to take a lot more time.
Well, Elena can chime in on that. I actually don't know that zoning code amendments are subject to a referendum, but I feel like every public comment that I have heard has been pretty much in the world of, I don't really want short-term rentals in my neighborhood. So that's not atypical of what we've been hearing for the last 8 months. It's understood. It's very difficult to do an outright ban in a neighborhood. Zoning regulations really aren't meant to ban, which is why we tried to create that compromise where you can have unhosted in a commercial area, and then you're really only looking at people who live in their homes that are renting a bedroom then for the residential zone.
That's a lot of the research and the work that went into it at the planning board level, to do a lot of discovery, that to look at the legal issues,
Correct.
things that you're speaking about right now. And is she still on or not? Because I
Elena,
think
are
a
you there?
referendum, that's going to
I
take a long.
haven't heard of doing a zoning or code change by referendum, but I guess it could be possible. I don't know why we go down that road, though.
I don't
It doesn't
either,
make
because
much
it's just
sense.
going to, the people, we've been dealing with this issue. We, want to get something,
So
in
that
our
we can
local
start
law.
enforcing. Yes.
yes, and in our codes,
Yes.
and not continue to wait.
Correct. And I think, I'm not speaking for the public in general, but I feel as though a lot of people that I have talked to that have been impacted by the short-term rentals would like to see something that we're able to use. It may not be perfect, and we may have to figure it out as we go. It's a land use that's evolving. It's a land use that right now a lot of towns are scrambling to adopt regulations on. We're all trying kind of different things. We've looked at adjacent cities and towns. Some of them are bedroom communities. Some of them are like recreational communities, like Lake Placid. Seasonal, thank you. That she's on the planning board, so that's why I'm looking at her. So, there's many different ways to tackle the problem. I'm hoping that this is the best way, and you guys can take a look at the, you've seen the code from the planning board, you've seen the amended code. We can take a crack at the first one at the end of this month, and then if it needs to be adjusted, you guys can vote that one down. We can try again.
Just so you know, Elena just weighed in. She's in a coughing fit, so she texted it. But the zoning or the planning board can't do a referendum on.
I don't think you can. So zoning code comes from town law. It's from a police power. It's a different type of law than some of the other ones that the town board deals with. But I would always defer to Elena on that. And then actually, just to make a point, Erin is fully recused from this, and maybe it's hard to do it, I think, without a supervisor, but she has been staying very, very far away and not involved in any of the communication. So full recusal on the issue by the supervisor. It's you four that we're working on.
But I think we need to move forward.
Right. So what we discussed at the Economic Development Committee, we know we have a difference of opinion. We had a difference of opinion on the planning board. We will bring forward the planning board resolution at the end of the month for your vote, see what happens. It may need to come back. We may just start enforcing it and see how it goes. And that's the
Makes
long,
sense.
yeah. I can make sure, I know there's a lot of questions, that we have the code ready for what we're proposing at the end of the month, and we can share it with anybody who wants to look at it. There's a number of people who read it regularly.
I'm wondering if maybe we could boil it down to sort of the hot button topics, like what is included in the code, just so that it's less of people needing to read the entire thing and sort of just see what the
Yeah, we could do that. Hmm.
might be easier.
Yeah, I can try and get that up on the website, maybe at the planning board,
Yeah.
or wherever you want me to put it by the end of the week. Just because
just-
it's
can I
gone
just-
back and forth, so I want people to
Yeah.
understand what. Yeah, oh,
I
sorry.
want to just add too, because I know people are coming to privilege of the floor, but also we do get emails from residents that are asking for us to consider their homeowner rights. So we're not just like willy-nilly like this, don't like that. We really are trying to balance homeowner rights with the integrity of our neighborhoods. So
Yes, it's definitely always a balance.
Yeah.
which, you know, never satisfies everyone, but hopefully land somewhere in the middle. Did anybody else have any more on that one? Okay. 11 is a resolution to set 2025 town designated engineer rates. I think we'll probably have 4 maybe engineering people that we use to help the planning board and the planning department review town development proposals, and the TDEs are paid for by the developers. So, but hired by us so that they are on our side. 12 is a resolution to hire a student worker. Right now, I have a amazing intern, Jacob Greasons, and I don't know if I'll have him all summer long, but I definitely have him, you know, January, because he's a college student, so he has a little bit of time. I'm hoping I'll get him back in the summer, but just at least to cover this time of the year, I would like to reappoint him for 2025, and then I'll try and bribe him to come back in the summer if he's willing. He's been doing the minutes for us, and he's really, really fast at them and very good, even though we want to use AI at some point. And he scans everything for us, so he's really useful. That's all I have.
All right. We'll move on to police and public safety.
Good evening, everyone. Number 13 is a resolution to appoint an executive secretary 2. This is a promotion for Miss Christine O'Brien, who is currently our executive secretary 1. This is a budgeted position for this year. I smile when I think of Chris because she's one of the hardest working people. They're all hardworking. She and Annette together run our office, but Chris has really taken on a workload that is second to none. And this position is very well deserving and more aligns with the responsibilities of what we need her to do from an office perspective moving forward. It is going to be tested by civil service, so she's going to be provisionally appointed pending that test. Number 14 is a resolution to accept the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant. I applied for $500,000, being very ambitious. I'm proud to say that we were awarded $500,000 in a reimbursement grant. Just to remind folks what we are going to do with this money, there are going to be 2 brand new traffic and community engagement vehicles that are fully outfitted, paid for by this grant. We are going to have new tasers. Our tasers at end of life expectancy. Just to give folks an idea of what outfitting a department our size from a taser perspective, the cost is, it's somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000 for a 5-year agreement. This will be paid for by this grant money. We are also going to be redoing the entire gym in the basement with updated equipment for our PD and also for town hall in general to be able to utilize. Sergeant Chris Henry has an email. He is our fitness liaison for the PD. He has a lot of familiarity with these things, and he's going to start putting together some proposals on purchases for it.
Just really quick though, who knew there was a gym in the basement? You did? Have you been in there?
Yeah.
Have you smelled it in there recently?
I haven't been in there in a long time.
There's
but I
old
knew it
wrestling
was
mats
there.
in there is all I'm saying.
Okay. It's also going to provide us some new radios and batteries for everybody. And then last but not least, we wrote in getting another fixed license plate reader location. As you remember, last year we applied for almost $200,000 through the law enforcement technology grant that we were awarded. We're working on that project. Well, with this funding as well, we're going to expand that project even further. So needless to say, it came right around Christmas. I was jumping up and down and celebrating because it's probably the biggest grant we've ever been awarded for our PD, and I'm very proud of us for doing that. So
Yeah.
Number 15 is a resolution call for a public hearing to amend Chapter 203 of the Town Code of the Town of Niskayuna relative to no parking on Onondaga Road. In our committee meeting, we had some residents that came and spoke about that location that live on Onondaga Road. Obviously, we know that there is some transition and conversations going on with Harry's Mobile on the corner. There's also another business that is, I don't know what it currently is,
I think it's for sale.
but it's for sale on the opposite corner. There was some concerns brought to us about no parking on both sides from a visibility perspective with both businesses there. One of the residents that came actually said she hit a pedestrian one time on a bicycle because of the limited visibility. So our committee spoke about it. We're fully in favor of supporting a no parking zone on both sides of that road, essentially from the driveway of 1021 Onondaga Road through as you head south to Route 7. I spoke with town planner Laura Robertson about this. It's approximately 200 feet. that we decided would be appropriate. And so we're looking to have a public hearing to discuss that moving forward. Number 16 is a resolution to call for a public hearing to amend Chapter 151 of the Town Code of the Town of Niskuna regarding peddling and soliciting in town. This has been an ongoing discussion. I have to give kudos to Town Clerk Michelle Martinelli for bringing these 2 points to the committee to speak about. The first is there's sort of a loophole in our current code with regards to application and background checks for solicitors of non-for-profits and religious organizations. Something that we found was there are non-for-profits and religious organizations that sometimes bring in solicitors as far away as many, many states away. And the background check is lacking, and the fee process for that is lacking in our town code. Something we need to button up. In conjunction with that, Town Clerk Martinelli brought up the concept that other local municipalities do with regards to a no soliciting registry. So our residents would have the ability to then state they wanted to be on that no soliciting registry, and there would be some sort of civil penalties potentially if the solicitors came out and solicited at the houses, full well knowing what the registry states. And I think that's an excellent idea that Michelle brought forward, and I thank her for bringing that to the committee. Number 17 is a resolution to honor Sergeant Jeffrey Relation for his years of dedicated service to the town of Niskuna. I spoke about this a couple different various meetings. Sergeant Relation has 25 years of service. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant. He's truly a community-based police officer. I think it's imperative that we as a town recognize any town employee. Obviously, I'm partial because it's one of our employees for the police department, but we're going to bring this up and do a ceremonial for him to recognize him. He's aware of it. He'll be in attendance with his family, FYI. Number 18 is a resolution to authorize payment of the 2025 membership fees for the Zone 5 Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy. This is our annual dues to our local regional academy that we send new recruit police officers to train at. We also use this for other various trainings, and it's just something that we have to pay every year to be a part of. That number's $4,995, in case anybody was curious. And then last but not least, from a floor, I know Janet Wynn had brought it up. We had a mini bid for budgeted patrol vehicles for this year. We did get the results of it for 2 Ford Explorers. I'm happy to say once again, 2 years in a row now, Metro Ford was the lowest bidder, which is one of our dealerships in our town. So it's pretty cool that we're doing business with our own local businesses. The total on the 2 vehicles is $87,618.72. And I just want to throw in there the fact that last year for the same vehicles, it was actually $88,938. So it's less money this year that we're spending because they gave us a greater discount. So thank you to Metro Ford for doing that and being the lowest bidder. Does anybody have any questions? Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief Koshin. Final section here, we spoke a little bit about this. The first one here, the certain budgetary modifications. I don't know if the details will be sent out, but it's cleanup.
That's forthcoming because
Yeah.
those are to close the year out. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So that was number 19. Number 20 is a tentative resolution to appoint up to 2 clerical positions in the comptroller's office. That includes a vacancy in accounts payable and additional help in the office, especially with payroll.
Yeah.
Number 21, a resolution accepting the financial report from the audit of elected officials' accounts.
This was actually my fault too, because I should have put this on for November, but I didn't realize we had to formally accept it. But the financial statements, they finished it up late October. So it's just a resolution accepting them by the town.
And then I had a few additions. 22, a tentative resolution to appoint an IT position. Josh, want to come up and speak to that? We had found somebody through Indeed where we had posted the accounting positions.
Yeah.
And we found somebody that was extremely qualified in IT.
This was the one that was sort of like the follow-up to the contract conversation. We were like, well, wouldn't it be better if we hired somebody? And we weren't even looking really,
Right.
but it just was happenstance. So that one is going to be, that's a conversation. You guys let me know what you want to look at as far as like other information, but I thought it would be relevant for Josh to kind of outline not only what he has to do, but certain things that we've talked about wanting him to do. So this is a really long list. I actually thought the list I gave you was really long. This is even longer. So I thought it would be good for him to sort of speak to some of the ones that would stand out more, but then you also have this list to review.
All right, so I did highlight a couple of them. The state threw at us last year that all municipalities, not just counties, have to have a .gov domain is what it's called. That's a fancy way of saying your website URL and your email URL. It's not as easy as just changing the name and calling it a day, right? Not even including the back end stuff, which is neither here nor there. It's think about everyone's business card has to get updated. Every town letterhead has to get updated that appears on. I'm sure there's stuff over on the PD side that needs to get edited and fixed. So it's kind of a big deal. We have to do this by the end of July, I believe. So that's something that just kind of threw a wrench in, my kind of idea what's going on. The next one down that I wrote out, we're up for a renewal for our email system. The previous IT person put us in a 3-year agreement with Google Suite or Gmail for Business. That's up in August. So we have talked briefly about switching over to Microsoft or not. Either way, if we do decide to switch providers, that's a whole hoopla of things. Like some of you went through the last email migration. It's very disruptive. These things have to happen after hours. So I don't understand how I'm going to work 40 hours after 5 o'clock and then come in the next day and help everyone out, unless there's pharmaceuticals involved. And then some of these shorter ones are just kind of like, we did buy 50 computers a couple months ago. I can't find the time to deploy them and configure them and switch them out with everyone and take care of getting everyone's desktop the way they like it and where their mouse cursor go and things of that nature. I'll jump down to the next highlighted thing, which is configuring server and storage options as well as upgrading them and then moving all the stuff over. So this is a very big undertaking. Again, this stuff has to happen off hours. So that's me working a scattered shift, which leaves no one in my office to help with things, So, yeah. Another big one is the rewiring and the switching project. It seems like this time a year ago, before I was here, we bought a bunch of network switches. They were great. They've been sitting in a box. All of our switches, these switches are the equivalent when like Matt talks about like a big valve in the ground that blows up. It controls where the flow of everything goes. Just because it's not made of cast iron doesn't mean it's not important and it can only fit, So I'd like to get those out and deployed. Right now, our entire network, our core switch is 11 years old. If that dies, we are, whatted. So, and it sounds like there's gravel in the fan. Like it's bad in there. I'm more than happy to bring everyone upstairs and go for a field trip and look at the server room and what I inherited over the course of the years of the town.
And Josh is being nice because we had IT professionals in here before Josh was hired that they were not as casual about it as you were. They were sort of sounding the alarm.
So the switching project I just talked about, and these are just some other things. Now the unhighlighted kind of one-line things are things that like we would like as town employees to function better. I find it ridiculous that I have to come to work, but town hall to pay my taxes with a check.
So
You know
what
what I
are we suggesting hiring a full-time person or persons?
Well,
One person.
yeah, we're kind of putting it out there as a follow-up because we were like, okay, we don't have a ton of money. Let's do the help desk. I don't think anybody was really like in love with the help desk option, but we were trying to find some way to make it work. And then this
It fell in our
person,
lap.
yeah.
Like,
And so,
seriously, like the
when
guy
we-
applied for an AP position and Kara was like,
yeah,
this is an IT guy, right? I'm like, yeah, that's like almost my resume.
right.
And so we called him and had an interview. And I was just curious if he was wanting to get out of IT and go to a less stressful field or like a change it up in life. And he was not. It turns out he quit his current job and he's just kind of looking for work. So it kind of fell in our lap. And so, you know, we talked and we were like, well, let's see what the board says about this, because it has been an open conversation. You know, and this isn't just like the new IT guy standing up here asking for help. You know, my predecessor was in constant communication with other towns, asking them how they're structured. They're structured a lot differently than we are. Town of Groveland, for example, is 4 IT people. You know, and they're probably comparable to us. They do the fire districts in their town as well, but whatever. You know, so it is more. But he was also talking with Jamie constantly about how the network has been more complex. There's a water sewer garage, has server equipment. He unfortunately never got around to finishing it because of things that happened. And, you know, they're just kind of sitting out there, you know, like the PD's backup for all their detective files. They go there, you know, it works most times, which is, you know, kind of important. I don't have time to keep my arms around all these infrastructure related things and keep, you know, everyone's email working and their printing and things of that nature.
Well, let's put a job description and a proposal together.
Well, we could, actually, that's a good idea to get it out there now since we weren't really fishing for it anyway, but just so that we could have a few more options put in there. But I guess it's more like a discussion on how we want to move forward, because
I'm in favor of another person. You
Yeah.
always have been.
It's a
I
need. This hasn't
I know it's
popped up
not-
overnight.
I love that you guys are saying that, because I wasn't really sure what the sentiment would be, but I really feel strong. Even when I started working here, I was like, oh, there's one IT person.
Yeah, and, you know, the people who did this before for many years as like a lone wolf type of thing, bless their hearts. Like, that is a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just wanted to address John's comment. So I actually put something out to civil service yesterday because they're having a meeting on the 23rd of January. And there was a job description that already fit the bill, like perfectly. I had to change school district to municipality and done.
Excellent.
Oh, and that went over?
And well, I don't really know till the 23rd, but the contact that I have at civil service does not seem to think it would be an issue.
Okay.
So it did exist here in the town before, and then it went away. So we were just asking them to rebuild the position into the town. I just didn't want you to think like we did that behind. It was like I was sending other stuff to civil service for the new
Yeah.
position in Matt's office, and I just got on a roll on Saturday. And
Well, and
That's
so
a
now
big
we have
first step.
options. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I just wanted to kind of, I know I've been up here trying to sell the CB20 contract and everything.
It's
That was
sold.
a quick win for me. Just kind of some of that, the
You got
dialogue.
something even better,
You know,
right?
and
Way
it's
better.
Definitely the way I think everyone in the building and the community
Mm-hmm.
would prefer, you know? So is there any discussions, questions?
I can follow up with the job description and
Yeah.
all of
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna say, so the next steps would be to wait to hear from civil service and see if there's other applicants and then
Right.
vet
Or
people
miss or
and
whatever, yeah.
interview and, okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
There's just a couple more on the list. A tentative resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOA with the CSCA white collar unit regarding a new position.
That one's on the finance agenda too, if you're looking for it.
A tentative resolution appointing a clerical position in the water, sewer, and engineering department.
Which is basically what 23 is, right?
Correct.
It's just, we don't have the position currently because we're sort of crafting it. That was that partial engineering one. So we have to do the MOA and then also pull it from civil service.
And the last one I have is the tentative resolution regarding updates to the investment policy.
Yes, and we already talked about that. So I don't know. I think we'll just like start with a conversation with what makes sense, and then maybe we could just float the language and see what you guys think. I'm sure you're probably thinking whatever
Yeah.
works, but
Get it into the investment account as quickly as possible, but don't make it overburdensome.
that's what I mean. Like, and I feel like sometimes the language sits out there and we kind of do something different, and so we should just. I feel like making it match will be keeping us honest and accountable to what our policies say. So we'll float that and then send it out for the packet. Thank you so much, Kara. I think that was it, right? Does anybody have any discussion on any of the items? Okay. I'm going to take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
We have to motion for executive session.
Do we do, Elena, do we adjourn into executive session and do you know which section I should be referencing?
Yes, 105 subsection D to discuss current litigation.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to move an executive session pursuant to section 105 subsection D. Can I have a motion for that?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So bye, everybody.
And we're going to adjourn right after